Across my 7 years of MLP filmmaking, I have had many a question on how exactly I generate some of my MLP hairstyles. So in this video, I will be showcasing some tutorials upon them. I did have a number of tutorials up once, but I think they were lost due to moderation. However, upon friendly demand, I have chosen to create a new tutorial for further enjoyment. First off is Snowcatcher. Her hair is brushed into two, one behind the ear, one in front, where the forelock in front of the ear is tied around the neck and under the crest, which is the back part of the hair. The crest is poked through the hoof, which gives this nice curl. Starlight Glimmer's hair is the same, except it is pushed upwards at the crest and secured with an elastic band. Diamond Mint's is relatively similar, however the forelock is wrapped around the opposing ear rather than the same ear as the crest, and the crest is also tied up with an elastic. And this hairstyle was inspired by MLP stop motion. Moving on to Scootaloo, this hairstyle was inspired by someone called Daring Do Productions. It may look cut, but it is actually just wrapped around and secured with an elastic. I'll be using this rainbow dash as an example, so always brush the hair before you style it. It's brushed out and pulled out in a sort of linear position and then just wrapped around the ear like that. It's sort of like flattened so that the bottom bit of the hair, the very bottom of the hair, is at the front, as you can see with the green being at the front. Just sort of tidy it up once the elastic is in, and there you go, it's Centurion! Twilight Sparkle. I'm not in favour of cutting fringes for ponies, so what I do is it works better with unicorns because you can wrap it around the horn, but for Pegasi and Earth ponies I just wrap it around, put my finger in place of the horn and wrap it around my finger, and then it creates this sort of like fringe without cutting. I know you can do it another way by sort of wrapping it around itself, however I prefer the appearance of this method. As of 2019, I have given my Fluttershy her Season 9 epilogue hairstyle. Fluttershy shares Diamond Mint's hairstyle, however, the forelock is not wrapped around the neck, and the crest I begun to tie into a ponytail but then stopped once it resembled a sort of half bun, half ponytail appearance. Applejack's is quite similar, where the forelock is wrapped around the opposite ear to where the crest is placed. It is tied in its signature red ribbon. The end is just pulled up and placed into the hat to resemble her Season 9 epilogue appearance. Getting into the more complex hairstyles, Plumette is a first example of it. I separated out forelock and crest, then I take the crest and twist it around itself and then position it into a bun / donut at the top and leave the rest to just sort of fall down in place and secure it with an elastic band. Cherry Pie is quite similar in a sense, except I take the entire crest, sort of twist it around my finger to create a donut shape, and I fit the entire crest into a donut where the very bottom sort of seeps into the forelock, and then you're left with this full bun and nice sort of long forelock fringe. The end of the forelock is curled either by curling it around your finger or just wrap it through the legs for a long period of time. And this is the hairstyle I used on Cherry Pie when I used to use her to represent my character Seren. Lyrica Lilac is very complicated, so this tutorial's more for myself. I took the entire hair and twisted it around, and then positioned it into a donut shape, wrapping it around my finger. Then I took an elastic band and separated the remaining parts of the hair out to create this sort of, I don't want to say curtain bangs because that's not what they're meant to be, a sort of fringe, and then another bit of hair. Diamond Tiara looks nothing like she does in the show, and that's because I used to use her to represent my character Magenta, so she shares her hairstyle, and I absolutely refuse to change it. Please note that I did cut a small portion of the crest in order for it to resemble the length of Diamond Tiara's actual hairstyle originally. Although it has benefited in generating the Magenta hairstyle, it is not needed at all. You will get the same result, it will just be a little bit longer. To achieve this hairstyle, first off the hair is separated into forelock and crest, and the crest is taken over the ear. As for the forelock, it is positioned in a way that the bottom end is over the forehead as so, then an elastic band is taken to secure them in place. The top end of the crest and a little bit of the forelock are slightly pushed up in order to imitate a bun, and that is pretty much the hairstyle. Like I said, cutting is not at all necessary. However, if you want the crest to be shorter, you can cut it, or you can just leave it as such. And finally, onto this rarity, I have separated the hair into 3 parts this time. So take a forelock and crest, separate the crest into 2, the lower end less hair, whereas the middle or higher end is more hair. And then you take the middle part, or the higher end of the crest, wrap it round in a bun, secure a little bit of the edge next to the ear so the bun is secured in place, and then you can just leave it like that. That's how I did Jen's hairstyle. Or you can take the lower end of the crest, put it over the ear similar to Magenta's, and then it just goes like that. I like to messy up the bun a little bit. Of course, I have secured the bun with an elastic band over the part where it's protruding into the forelock to keep it in place. It is not at all necessary to use a crown as well. I have just done that as I used to use this rarity to represent my character Crimson, which is where the hairstyle is inspired from. Since her hair is actually wavy, you could curl it if you like. I have done that in the past. It's easy to use a pencil or a needle to do that. You may notice in my drawing that her hair is, when it's tied up, the ends that are hanging out are a lot shorter. I would cut the hair, but I just didn't want to all those years ago, and it's just stuck like that. Finally, we have Honeybuzz, who I've given a very abstract hairstyle to. I began by separating it out forelock and crest, taking the forelock, wrapping it around my finger to create a sort of fringe. I then secured the fringe in place with an elastic band as such, and then took the crest, twisted it around as I usually do, and then brought it around both ears over the top of the head and secured it with an elastic band. With that concludes our showcase / tutorial. Feel free to use any hairstyles you like, and if you're wondering about my hairstyle, it is a Fluttershy hairstyle, separated forelock and crest in the Fluttershy style, except the middle part is just plaited and then wrapped around and tied in with an elastic band. My quill is just a trimmed down artificial red feather held in with the elastic band that also holds the plait in place. If the composition looks familiar, that is because it is actually the style that MLP Stop Motion has used on her Sunny Rays. With that concludes our tutorial. Thank you for watching, and if you found any of these helpful, enjoy!